Hey everybody, it's your girl, Del Lynn, better known as Queen Del's on social media. And I am back here on my podcast, my new podcast, Live Right Now, to just kind of sit with you and discuss like everyday life things. Remembering I'm not an expert, I just been through some things and I want to share some of the things that I've been through with you and how I've gotten through it with the help of my faith and my family and just building off of who I already was and becoming a stronger person. So on our first episode of our series, Rebuilding Our Life After and Rebuilding What Was Broken, we talked about the reason why I stayed in the marriage that I was in for as long as I did. And this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about picking up the pieces. What does life look like after you sign those papers? What happens next? We talked about making the decision, and I told y'all, like, I'm having my notes, don't judge. This is gonna keep me on track so that we don't make this a mini series where this is 30, 45 minutes, right? We just wanna keep it short, keep it cute. So I just decided to bring my little notes. But yeah, we talked about making the decision, and now that the decision has been made and deciding it, we're gonna talk about like surviving the aftermath of making that decision. And walking away, I thought was the hardest part. Y'all, I had no idea. I had no idea. The rebuilding and the picking myself up from ground zero was actually harder than walking away. And one of the reasons why that it was so hard was because I came to the realization that I wasn't leaving alone. I kind of touched on this in the first episode where I mentioned my 5 children. Like, I wasn't by myself. I had children. I had small children. I had preteens at the time as well. And so I had this wide variety or age gap from a little baby to, at the time, my oldest, who is now 18, she was like 10 or 11 at the time. So, she was going through her own thing. And so not only is this affecting my life, but it's affecting the lives of my 5 children. And so all 6 of us were being heavily affected by the decision that I was making. I would also say that in that period of time, right after my divorce, we had made an agreement and we said, by this particular day, we would move out of our home, our family home. And y'all, I loved my home. That's another thing I miss. I really miss my house. But we had a very beautiful home, and we had enough space for all the babies. We had about 3,000 square feet, a little bit over. And so we loved that home. But enough about that. We set a move out date. And at that time, I said, okay, this is going to be the day that we're going to move out. And instead of me saying to him, hey, I don't have the finances to do that right now, my pride was like, I'm not letting nobody know that I'm not ready to go. I am going to stick this thing out and I'm going to, stick to what we said. And so if we're moving out at the end of the month, then that's what it is. Y'all, I was working at a job for the Houston Independent School District as a general clerk, y'all, making nothing at the time. I remember telling my therapist what I made and she was like, that's full-time work? Yes, sis, that was full-time work. So not a heavy income, because during the bulk of our marriage until maybe the last couple of years, I wasn't working. I was a stay-at-home mom. I allowed him to, well, not allowed, but he was the entrepreneur and I stayed at home, took care of the kids. I homeschooled our children. So I was at home with the babies and I never had to have an income, steady income outside of the home. And so that was very new for me, but I found myself with no place to live because of my pride saying I'm not going to change my move out date. I didn't have anywhere to go. So I ended up staying with, not even with family, like I guess because I had so many kids, nobody was volunteering to let me and 5 little children come stay with them. So I ended up having to stay with a family friend and she was all for it. She, had 2 spare rooms or 3 spare rooms that she wasn't using in her house. And she was amazing. She was like, yes, come on in. These are my babies. I want you guys to be okay. Stay as long as you need. But baby, her husband was not. Bro was not feeling me and all these kids at his house because he was used to peace and some quiet with just her and the dog. And so it was like different for him to have us there. And that feeling when you feel like somebody don't want you there. It was very awkward. And it was very awkward for a long time because we ended up staying there for almost 9 months. Yes, 9 months I was there so that I could save and so that I could find my own. My world literally changed from the date that we moved out. My world changed overnight. I was still working for HISD, like I said. Every bill was now mine. Like every bill, it wasn't split with anybody. And I think the other part that was really difficult for me was that I was so used to having a partner doing these things. There was no partner. It was just me. I was on my own doing some of the things that I was doing. So there was also a sense of loneliness that I dealt with. One of the things I had to also remember was I wasn't just grieving the marriage. I was grieving this future, this life that I thought I would have. When I saw my life and I saw where I would be within the next couple of years, this wasn't it. You know, sleeping in somebody's twin size bed, thank God for them, no complaints. God knows I'm so grateful for them, but that wasn't in my plans. That's not how I saw myself. And so having to go through all of that was life-changing. That's what you call picking up the pieces. Survival took over for me after I would say I went through a 4-year battle with depression, severe depression, functioning depression. I was just getting through the day. I stopped working out. And you're saying like, okay, well, not working out, that's not a big deal. Well, if you follow me for a while or you see my journey, I had lost 145 pounds. I had been featured in People magazine. I had become a certified personal trainer. I had started my own meal prep company. I had been on TV shows here in Houston. I've been on radio. So like I was known for my fitness journey. And to lose 145 pounds and then gain a good 40 of those pounds back, yeah, I just lost who I was. I didn't know who I was. But in spite of all of that, I still had to show up. Every day I still had to show up because I was a mama and my babies needed me. I had to come to the reality that I wasn't being lazy. I was hurt. I was literally hurting. And in order to pick up the pieces, I had to acknowledge, we talked about that episode 1, you know, being honest. I had to be honest with myself and say like, you're not okay. You need some help. You're not okay. But some of the things, this is where it gets good. That's the sad part. This is where it gets good. What healing actually looks like for me in picking up the pieces, it wasn't just one little decision that I made. It was several small decisions that I was making that was bringing me to my healing. One, I stayed in therapy. I remember I even had a therapist that I felt like she was always co-signing and agreeing with me towards like the end of our time together. She'd be like, at the end of the session, she's like, yeah, I get it. You're going through some stuff, but you're doing good. Like you're doing good. And I'd be like, girl, no, I'm not. I'm falling apart, sis. And so I had to change therapists to find somebody that's going to hold you accountable and that's going to walk with me through this process. So I did that. Controversial, but I got on medication. I saw a psychiatrist as well. I still see a psychiatrist so that I could get some help balancing some of those hormones and those chemicals in my body. Because baby, let me tell you, when you go through some of the stuff I went through and you go through it in a very short period of time, it literally rocks your world and it alters your mental. And so I needed some support. Medication is support. And I went that route. I even checked myself into what they call an outpatient mental health program. Most of us just know it as rehab, but that's basically what I did. And I did outpatient so that I wouldn't miss a beat with my kids. We'll talk about that later because I really should have just stayed with the program and not went to work and not had the kids, but mommy duties called. And I did that for 2.5 months. And that was really life-changing. That was like rock bottom for me because I really felt like I had failed by then. But it was necessary and it really was helpful. I didn't see the benefits until after, but it was definitely helpful. I actually talked to my ex-husband, talked to their father, and I said, hey, listen, I am the primary parent when it comes to school, conversations, when it comes to people bringing situations to me, when it comes to their medical history and the things that they're going through. I am literally the main point of contact, and I'm cool with it, right? But right now, I am not doing well. I need you to step up. So I asked him to step up, to be more present in that regard, because when you talk about being present, I can't ask for a better parent when it comes to being there for their kids, but actually being emotionally available. That's not necessarily his forte. And so I had to say, hey, listen, I need you to be more available for me. And really, it wasn't for me, because you don't owe me anything anymore, not being your spouse. It was really for your kids. Like, your kids need a better mama. And so if they gonna get a better mama, you need a better baby mama. So you need to step up. And that's basically what happened. Like, he was just like, yeah, no, I get it. And I don't think he wasn't doing it because he didn't care. I just think he was kind of oblivious to what I really needed, because I was able to mask it so well. That's a whole nother conversation about how we do that as women. But yes, I was able to keep pushing through. And so, and picking up the pieces, advocating for myself and telling people what I needed made a world of a difference. That just kind of goes to the next point I was going to say. I stopped pretending that I was okay. I stopped acting like everything was okay. And I just came to the realization that like, halt. There were like these signals going off in my brain. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Something's not right. And so I literally had to start listening to those signals. And I learned that healing isn't something that you do by yourself. It really requires support. It required my friends checking in on me. Like I say, I checked myself into mental health rehab because I literally was the one that walked in. I paid for it, all that good stuff. But it really was my brother that was like, hey, I found this place. I already talked to them. I found out how much it's gonna be for your insurance. I found out what your deductible is gonna be. Like they didn't play about me getting the help that I needed. And so having a village and having support around you is so necessary, but you really gotta let your support know and your village know what's going on. Like you can't just kind of keep it pushed through or keep it moving. You gotta let people know like, hey, I'm not okay. And so it allows people to support you in a better way. Okay, of course, like I did last episode, I think I'm gonna keep this as a trend. I have to tell y'all what I'm learning in this process, because of course I'm still learning stuff now. I learned that leaving immediately did not bring me peace. Making the decision is not where the peace comes from. Doing the work is where the peace came from. Leaving brought grief, it brought fear, it brought shame, it brought uncertainty, and more importantly, it brought responsibility that I was not ready for. But the peace came later, not because my circumstances changed, but honestly, I began to change. And as I began to change and as I began to develop and grow, and more importantly, in my relationship with the Lord, as well as just grow as a person, peace started to become more attractive, and I started to attract that peace as well. And so I think that was one of the biggest things that I learned. I learned that healing takes time. I learned that it's okay, like I said, to ask for help. Oh my goodness, progress is not always visible. You will not always see progress. Progress is not, I'm gonna say that one more time. Progress is not always visible. I know what you've been told, because you think about a weight loss journey, you're supposed to see the change, right? You're supposed to see the pants getting looser. You're supposed to see the belt notches decrease, belt notches increase. You need the belt notches, more belt notches. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, like you're supposed to see the change, right? But when it comes to mental help and when it comes to changing yourself to be a better person, and picking up the pieces, sometimes it's not really visible. It takes some time to really see the changes that you're making. It takes a little bit of time to notice that, okay, I am evolving. Oh, I'm not responding to situations the way that I used to. Oh, I don't crash out every other day. It's like once a week now instead of Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like, so your crash outs change, like everything starts to change and over time, but it's not always instantly visible. Rock bottom for me wasn't the worst time in my life. Rock bottom became the foundation for my life. That is where I built my foundation, when I hit rock bottom. And in closing, if you're rebuilding, you need to keep going. Steve Harvey said, and don't quote me on this, but something along the lines of, if you're going through hell, why would you stay there? Like, go through hell, go get through it, get on the other side. And when I got on the other side, that's when I noticed my peace come back. That's when I noticed my joy come back. That's when I noticed my smile come back. I remember I used to sing while I was at work all the time. Just today, actually, as I was at work earlier today, I had on Pandora and I was singing along like loudly to the songs. I was like, I ain't did this in a long time. Like, you start noticing those things come back because rock bottom was my foundation, and I've just built from that. And so picking up the pieces, it started off kind of rocky and it started off ugly, but we are here now. Y'all, I want you guys to stay tuned to episode 3. That is probably my favorite in this series, because we're talking about the things that nobody tells you when it comes to divorce. There are some things that only you know because you experienced it, that nobody talks about, and I want to talk about it. I want to go there with you. So if you haven't already, why aren't you liking this post like right now? Why aren't you subscribed? Why? Just why? There's no reason. You need to be liking, you need to be subscribing, you need to be sharing. If you really enjoy this episode, please like, share, subscribe, all those things. Like do all the things to get the word out that we're here, that it's not just any kind of podcast, that we're here to talk about like grown woman things, real life, everyday things, and we're here to get through it. And we're gonna do that together. So I look forward to seeing you for episode 3. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to live right now.